What is up, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of March Madness Mania. I don't know what we're calling this thing, but we're calling it something. We are live on a Tuesday. The brackets are out. You've probably filled out at least 5 by now. But make sure you listen to this podcast before you hit submit because you're going to want to go and change some stuff. We have got just a college basketball episode for you this week. Bump the NFL and all the other sports. It's March Madness time. It's all that matters. So we are going to be – we've got some stats. We've got some bets for this episode. And then make sure you're following us on Twitter and Beat the Book app because we're going to have all of our picks each day in there as well. But today we're going to be breaking down some future stuff we're looking at for the tournament, matchups, and things like that. So we're very excited. March Madness is a huge deal. I'm taking off multiple days from my jobs because I'm going to do nothing but sit and watch basketball.
So real quick, if you don't have it, download Beat the Book app. Just type in your apps and then you search us. So I'll put our names in and you'll find our picks on there. So we'll start actually doing that. I have not been too active on there yet, but I'm going to start posting my picks. So just keep up with it that way. And then on Twitter, we'll have that on there as well. So he kind of said that, but just
the next parlay will be back.
That's right. Bringing that back, baby.
We will all three have a pick. So stay locked in for that because it's going to go significantly better than it did in football.
Yeah. And then we got content on content. I am going to, throw my body on the line for the podcast. I'm going to do a bet each day. My lock of the day that will be on Beat the Book, on Twitter, everything like that. If it hits, I'm safe. If it doesn't, I will be doing a punishment that will be posted on TikTok if it still is around by this time. So let's just jump into it, guys. But I wanted to throw that out there because I am dedicated to the pod. I'm dedicated to the fans. I will be doing some not fun punishments unless, I just go on a winning streak and I don't miss a bet. So we'll see how that goes. I'm already doing my research. But who wants to kick us off?
Okay, I'm going to kick us off with one thing. This is just a primer.
Yeah.
For those of you who maybe don't know me personally, I'm a pretty big math guy. I was a math major in college. And so this is one of my favorite math equations is talking about how many possible brackets there are in the world. I'm going to give you a little bit of probability math today. This is your math lesson. If you consider that every game has about a 50-50 chance of either team winning, which we know is not 100% true, but it's pretty close in March Madness. If both teams have about a 50% chance, there's 67 total games. The odds of someone predicting all of the first round games correctly, just the first round, is 1 in 4.3 billion. You'd have to fill out 4.3 billion brackets just to make sure you got just the first round correct. So if you continue this out all the way into what are the odds of a perfect bracket of getting every combination correct, the number of possible combinations are a number that's hard to wrap your brain around, but it's 9 quintillion, over 9 quintillion. If you're wondering, 9 quintillion is a 9 with 15 zeros behind it. To put that into context in our world, we have about 8 billion people on Earth. Let's round up just to make the math easy to 9 billion. Let's say there's 9 billion people lined up, and you say, "Hey, all you 9 billion people, fill out a bracket," and each of them fill out a bracket. Each person on this planet Earth would have to fill out 1 billion brackets each. All different. Every bracket would have to be different. But if every single person on Earth filled out 1 billion unique brackets, and there were 9 billion people on Earth, which is not true, but 9 billion billions equals how many total bracket possibilities there are. So whenever the millionaires or whatever say, "I'll give $1 million if you get a perfect bracket," the odds are 1 in 9 quintillion. in other words, it is not going to happen. Like the odds are, the odds would be better of you winning the lottery like 50 consecutive times than you filling out a perfect bracket. Like that's the numbers we're talking about here. So, crazy stuff. So whenever you're some years it's a little more chaotic than others. You always see that after round one there's like one perfect bracket left. But imagine you trying to win a 67 leg parlay is kind of what we're thinking about when we're talking about the math here.
There was a guy or girl that got to the Elite Eight, I believe, a couple years ago. You remember that, Tins? That was like blowing up everywhere.
And it was one of the years
for that.
Sorry, I was just saying it was just one of the years where it was a lot of madness too. Like there were some, I feel like it was the year
some wild teams.
St. Peter's knocked out Kentucky. Like I think that was the year.
I think the only way it would happen is if someone picked like an all chalk lineup and it went that way. I think that would be the best chance of it happening is if no underdogs won any games.
Right.
You had all one seed Final Four, and I think that's when it would happen. But chances are slim.
Very slim.
So there's some math for you today. Speaking of math, speaking of upsets, Mason has cooked up some stats for us. We're going to give you some of our own personal takes here near the end and who we like. But we're going to give you some stats and data first about March Madness and the history of it. So Mason, what do you got for us?
So real quick, at least one double-digit seed has reached every Sweet 16 since 2008. If you're talking about double seeds, you're thinking Cinderella stories. So I have some teams here that I want to go over. First, if you don't recognize a couple school names when you're filling out your bracket, it's because there's a couple teams that have never made it in program history. The first team is Stetson Hatters, punched their first ever ticket to the NCAA to the NCAA tournament. 15-13 against the spread this season. They are playing the number one seed. Someone help me out here. I go UConn. Thank you.
You're present for beginning in the tournament for the first time. An absolute buzzsaw.
Have fun with that one.
Another team that's never made it. That would be Grambling Tigers. They will play in their first NCAA tournament. 14-14 against the spread. However, they went 3-0 against the spread in the tournament. So that is another school that, and I'm trying to see this bracket so much. I don't even know who they're playing. I think they're playing a playing game.
They are. They're playing a playing game.
So yeah. They're playing. Yeah.
Whoever that is.
MTST.
I'm just looking at the bracket on ESPN. Yeah. I don't know who that is.
St. Peter Peacocks, Zach's favorite team of all time.
Garbage.
And everybody knows. They're known for their run to the Elite Eight. The Peacocks knocked out Purdue in the round of 16 and became the first number 15 seed to reach the round of 8. They're obviously going up against UT in the first round. They are 17-11 against the spread this season. Wagner's also punched their tickets. The Seahawks are dancing for the first time in over 20 years. They will play their game on Thursday, I believe. 13-15 record for the season. They are 11-15 against the spread. Long Beach State, champions of the Big West. They're dancing for the first. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see where their head coach and the school on Monday before their tournament started mutually, air quotes, agreed to part ways, meaning he was fired, and then he went and won their conference tournament, and now they are dancing.
That's crazy.
I thought that was funny. Sorry.
No, you're good. I did not know that. First time since 2012. I'm going to be honest, a couple hours after this has been released, I've heard a lot of buzz around this team. They're 18-14 record overall, 13-17 against the spread. A couple more real quick here. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers are NCAA tournament bound for the first time since 2013. 19-11 record, 16-11 against the spread. One of the better against the spread and records of all the Cinderella teams. Colgate, they are the 4th straight season. How many games have they won of being in the tournament?
0.
They are 0-4 in the first round. However, they are 2-1 against the spread at neutral court, which they will be playing at. 17-15 against the spread the whole season. So, yeah, there's a couple teams. There's more of them, but I threw out some of those there that have not been in here recently. So, yeah.
There you go.
Cinderella stories. Who loves them? Yeah.
So, speaking of Cinderellas, I have a little bit of numbers. I know we're throwing a lot of stats at you right now. I think we just want you to be able to have the most up-to-date information here. Whenever you're filling out, so this is advice for filling out your brackets. Whenever you're filling out your brackets, since 1985, there have been an average of 8.5 upsets per season. We're classifying an upset as a gap of 5 or more seeds between the teams. So 6-11 counts, but 8-9s and 7-10s don't. So it has to be at least 5 gaps. So there were 8.5 on average. The least amount was 3 in 2007, but the most was 2021 and 2022. There were 14 upsets total. 14 of these big number upsets. So 5-12 was probably one of the most of those. The average in the first round is 4.5. And then it goes down after that. But there's about 4.5 upsets in the first round alone, those gaps of 5 or more. So the biggest ones we've talked about are 6/11 happens about 38% of the time, actually. 5/12, 34%.
Yeah, that's the big one.
4/13 is actually 21%. Now that's still pretty good. That's almost 1 per tournament. 5/12 is more than 1 per tournament. 6/11 is like closer to 2 per tournament in the first round. 2/15 is only 7%, or a 15/2. Sorry. Pretty interesting. In the second round, I will say there are some upsets there as well. The most common one is the 7 seed over the 2 seed in the second round. That has happened 27 times since 1985. That a 7 seed be a 2 seed. Next highest is 11/3 in the second round, which has happened 20 times. So if you're looking for an upset, their recommendation, this is coming from a CBS article actually, it's coming from NCAA. Sorry. The recommendation is maybe to hit that like 8 or 9 mark is pretty safe if you're trying for the total tournament. Looking at about 4 or 5 in the first round is pretty safe. But there's been as many as 8 in 2016. So something to consider there.
Good.
Some more stats for you. And this is kind of my last big stat heavy thing. This is what I like to look at when I'm thinking about what seeds we're looking for. This is odds to advance of each round by bracket seed. And there's a couple of standouts. I'm just going to pick out some of the things I saw. This is an article by Bet Firm I'm referencing here. I like to reference my sources. The odds of obviously the odds of like a 1 and 2 seed getting past the first round are very high. The odds of a Final Four for a 1 seed is 40%. Odds of Final Four by a 2 seed is about 20%, and then it goes down to about 11% for a 3 seed. Let's talk about first round, especially right here though, because that's where we're kind of targeting first. And there's one in particular I kind of wanted to look at. The odds of a 1 seed winning are like 99%. Obviously, shout out to Purdue for being the 1%. Odds of a 2 seed winning are 93%. There have been 10 total 2 seed losses since 1985. The interesting one gets around 7 and 8. 7, 8, 9, and 10, those numbers get pretty close to each other, especially 8 and 9. 9 seeds actually have a 51% advantage over the 8 seeds all time. And then that 5-12 matchup we talked about, 12 seeds actually win 36% of those games over 5 seeds. So If you're looking for a potential upset, there's one for sure. The number that I actually was most interested in was the second round. 9 seeds only win 9% of their second round games. So 9 seeds that make the second round only win 9% of their games. Obviously, a lot of times they're matched up with a 1 seed there, so that might be part of that calculation. But those 9 seeds typically are those really low teams from one of the Big 5 conferences that maybe just squeaked in on the bubble. And so those teams, I think, have a tendency to not go very far in the tournament. So if you're looking, that 9 seed line especially is very, very low. It's pretty interesting. The 9% is way lower than all the rest of them. So I'll keep updating you on some of the percentages. But if you're looking to see how to pick in the first round, there's some numbers for you to think on.
Real quick, McNeese is a 12 seed. They're 30-3 overall record playing against Gonzaga.
Scary.
Yeah. Some other 12 seeds was Grand Canyon against St. Mary's.
Yep.
UAB against San Diego State.
Yep.
I'm not finding the last one here. Is that it? I may be missing one. Oh, and then I got well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to look. James Madison in Wisconsin.
That's one I overlooked. Yeah. And then I needed to clean something up here. I said that what team was it? Oh, Wagner was going to play on Thursday. They're going to play on Thursday if they beat Howard in the playing game. So just they have a playing game.
Okay.
So I love a good playing game, hanging out at the good old B-dubs, placing a bet. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you count the play-in game as the tournament?
There's not a lot. There's not as much like sizzle and flair and excitement,
right.
But I still count it because that team, if they win,
that's a March Madness win. I think
that's a March Madness
arguments. I've heard arguments that the play-in games should be those really like throw the bubble teams into play-in games.
I don't
Instead
think
of putting your 16 seeds in, throw your bubble seeds in. Then they're fighting it out. I think that's more fair, honestly, than throwing a 16 seed to make them play into playing a 1 seed.
With 1 seed, yeah. No,
especially after they've conference. Yeah. If you win your conference, you should be in. You shouldn't be in a play-in situation.
Agree. Yeah. Pick your teams that barely squeaked in and make them all play each other to see who actually deserves to be in the dance.
Yeah,
that's my pick.
And I don't feel like we've got a good match like that UCLA team that made a good run a couple years ago. They were a play-in team. They played Michigan State. And so, I mean, that was a huge play-in situation where 2 big name programs and they got hot and made a Final Four. I don't feel like we've got a really good play-in matchup this year. I feel like it's pretty well. I guess
Boise State Colorado is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's the first time it's been a 2 10 seeds, right?
And Virginia, Colorado State,
which I don't care about either of them. Virginia getting in is a joke.
Virginia getting in, beating Texas, they could end up on Tennessee's matchup list.
Yeah, that's yep.
Okay, sorry to jump on that.
No, you're good. That's good.
Okay, where do we want to go next? Tins, I know you had some things. Do we want to talk matchups? Do we want to talk?
I've got just a few stats to throw out. I caught these while I was watching ESPN. One of them was the one Mason gave out. At least one double-digit seed has made a Sweet 16 run since 2008. So if you're looking at those double-digit seeds, a top 4 seed has lost in 14 of the last 15 years in the first round. So at least one top 4 seed is lost.
It's good.
14 out of the last 15. So
we love it.
You got to look for one of those. And there's some juicy ones. There's some stuff I'm going to give out that's going to maybe rock some people's world here.
That McNeese Gonzaga game is going to be a highly, highly picked upset.
That'll be the biggest 5-12 upset, I think.
Yeah.
Like that gets picked. But
it feels like too much. Like the line might honestly be even, like, or close to it.
By the time we get to it, because people are going to keep betting it. The public will smash it so hard.
I mean, we just said the stat that 36% of 12 seeds are beating 5 seeds anyways. And at this point, Gonzaga's been up and down a little bit through a soft schedule. McNeese has kind of cruised through their schedule with a big name coach. That's kind of upset Central right there.
They've won 5 of their last 7 games. McNeese has. Gonzaga, I feel like Gonzaga's lost their last like 3 games. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. I was just saying McNeese is a 6.5 point underdog plus 220.
Wow,
sounds like you should get it now.
Honestly, that's gonna go down. That's gonna become a popular pick, I think.
I think so too.
They are among the nation's best in points off turnovers, by the way.
Yeah, no, McNeese. I like McNeese. That's a score I've got. You might want to.
Keep it going, Tens. These are good.
One more, or a couple more I've got. Since the first 4 was introduced in 2011, at least one team playing in the first 4 has made it to the round of 32. Not only do they win their first game after the play-in, but they win one more. They win that matchup to get to the round of 32. So
probably a 10 seed, right?
Yeah,
playing 7.
Yeah, that's majority of the time is what it is, but you never know. I mean, I think there is some validation to playing and winning a game and getting in kind of rhythm when you're playing. A lot of times you're playing a team that lost early in their conference and they kind of snuck into the tournament and were a little bit higher seed than people thought, and then maybe you can get hot and take advantage of that in the first round. This is a fun one because there's always a couple teams I hop on. This might be one of them. A team that gets hot for their conference tournament, a team that wasn't going to make the tournament, but they went and won their conference, and so now they get in. Oregon's head coach has never lost a first round game in March Madness. He has never lost. He has been at Oregon for a long time. They've been a very solid program. He has never lost in the first round.
They went on a run there a couple years ago too.
So. Yeah.
Let me say, I think South Carolina got I think South Carolina's a 6 seed is low for where they are. 26-7 at the 6th line feels kind of crazy. I mean, Gonzaga's 25-7 playing Gonzaga's schedule, in conference schedule, and they're a 5 seed. South Carolina's gone through the SEC schedule and they're a 6 seed as 26-7. So
I expected them to be a 5.
I think that they are going to play with a chip on their shoulder, which I mean, they're a scary team to play. I'll be honest with you. I expect them to. That is an intriguing matchup with Oregon. I think Oregon could be getting hot, but South Carolina has got that super physical defense that it can mess with you. I mean, I've seen it a couple games this season.
Yeah, no, they feel like a team. First year head coach. They might just be a little bit further than they kind of expected to be this year. He's a very good coach. He's going to win Coach of the Year, I think. So that'll be a fun game. Oregon and South Carolina. I was looking at some stats. They kind of match up pretty well. Like they both like to do the same thing. They like to play tough D. Transition offense is their main thing. So that will be a fun game on the Thursday docket. It's like in the middle of the day. And then my last stat I wanted to give out, this is about North Carolina. North Carolina has reached the Final Four 9 times out of the 14 times they've been a 1 seed.
Wow.
And a lot of that's a lot of historical stuff where they were a dominant team early 2000s and stuff, but they're a very good team, I think. They have what you want in March with a point guard who can score and take over, and they play good defense. So North Carolina, they snuck that 1 seed. I think if we had just won one more game, we would have been the 1 seed. But it is what it is.
I'm just telling everybody out there, North Carolina, there's that game too against Mississippi State potentially.
Mississippi State is not a team anyone wants to play.
At 21-13, watching them just demolish Tennessee. I don't know how they lost 10 conference games, That is a team I would not want to see if I was anyone in that bracket. I think they have a chance to beat down North Carolina, play a style that North Carolina is not prepared for, and kind of impose their will like they did against Tennessee. Honestly, they have the capability of doing that.
They were a team. Their best player, Tolu Smith, missed a lot of the beginning part of the year. But Chris Jantz, their head coach, came from New Mexico State. Won a March Madness game there. Big upset a couple years ago. That's how he got the Mississippi State job. I'm with you. I don't be surprised if you're looking up and it's a 10-point game and you're wondering what's going on. Why is Mississippi State dominating them? They play a style of basketball that's, if you're not willing to be physical that day, they will run it up on you.
A lot of people I've seen online the conversation of Tennessee was ranked the number 5 team in the nation, but ended up getting matched against the number 3 overall seed, which doesn't really make sense. It would have made more sense to be matched up against the 4 seed, which is North Carolina. And so there's been some conversation about that. I'm honestly happy we are not in that bracket. We are not in that region because there's the teams I've seen play the most, but I really want no part of Mississippi State or Alabama, or Auburn for that matter. Auburn is on a heater right now at a 4 seed.
I'm glad to be on our side. Yeah.
If I don't know, I haven't made my bracket yet. Like these just dropped a couple hours ago, but Auburn going up against UConn, that could be a game.
That feels like a tough matchup for your number 1 overall seed. You give them a team like Auburn in their bracket. I didn't love that, but
yep.
I don't know.
Again,
Auburn. I feel a way about UConn.
Tins is big on UConn for sure.
Yeah.
Do either of you see like a 1 through 3 seed that you feel is most likely for that first round upset? We said it happens pretty often. If you had to pick one of the top 3 seeds to go down in this first round, we're kind of talking about first round specifically on this episode because that's what I mean. This is mainly a first round because we're planning to drop something else before the second round starts, or even top 4 seeds. Are there any of those top 4 seeds that you're like, I think this is a matchup I would be willing to say looks like
Bama. Just because of their style of play, they depend so much on shooting threes. And Charleston is a pretty solid team where they're pretty good at offense as well. So that might just be a game, first one to 90. So that was a team I had circled for a first round upset. Kansas is.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's gonna be a popular one as well.
They're banged up. Hunter Dickerson separated his shoulder. It seems like he's going to play. And then they have another guy. I don't know his name. It's like McNeese or McGee or something like that. McCuller. Okay, he is one of their. And they're not a deep team. That's what they struggled with all year with Kansas, is they had no depth. And he's not going to play. So that's a team I could feel like is ripe for an upset.
I struggle. I think that Kansas pick's going to be very popular as well because Kansas kind of coasted to that 4 seed based on some early wins, including a win against Tennessee. I mean, they really started the season off hot, and it's once everything settled down, it kind of just looks like they are maybe not a great team. Got that 4 seed based off of their resume and some early season wins. I think that's going to be a popular pick to go out early. I think I know nothing about Long Beach State, to be 100% honest with you. I do not believe in Arizona. They haven't really proven anything to me since their like pre-conference schedule.
Yeah.
And I don't honestly know what they're capable of, but if there was a team that I was like, I just don't believe in that team. I haven't seen them perform, especially recently. I think that could be a potential. If you're looking for a 15-2, I think that's my favorite one.
Of the 15-2s? Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think we're going to have any problem with St. Pete. Marquette's interesting. Marquette's interesting. They're a very good team, but they're Their best player has a quad injury. They say he's going to play, but Western Kentucky is a team that's kind of in that Bama model where they love to shoot, and that can always make you nervous about teams that can fill it up, where they just have a good shooting night.
I would like to give a quick shout out to Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago, who are not going to be participating in this tournament. I think that's a good omen for all of us. So shout out to Sister Jean. Watch the game from your TV. I have a personal rivalry with her, and she does not know me.
She does not know me.
I do not like her.
That's awesome. All right. Well, are there any other kind of matchups or anything first weekend you guys are looking at right now?
I was just going to ask, do you guys have any teams that you're high on? Because I may be buying way too much stock. I know Houston's frauds, but I'm buying way too much stock in Iowa State, blowing out Houston. They just looked. I watched a little bit of that game. I've seen some of their games actually and some highlights, and I just feel like they're a high power offense. 69-41. Houston's known for like the big defense team and everything like that, and also pretty decent offense. And they only put up 41 against Iowa State, and Iowa State just took. So I'm putting a little recency bias in that team. Going to be keeping an eye on that.
Well, Iowa State does rank like number one in a lot of defensive categories. Veteran team, and they've got a pretty easy draw, so I could see where you would be feeling them to make a little run here. I mean, I've got my bracket pulled up. I've got them making the Elite Eight pretty easily.
Yeah,
Houston.
No, Iowa
State. Okay,
because they'll play. They're playing South Dakota. They could be playing Washington State or Drake in the next round.
Washington State matchup. Washington State's been a little bit of a giant killer this season.
Yeah,
Zach's worried about him.
Drake's one of my double-digit seats to go a little bit.
Yep.
Really?
But you have them losing in the.
I've got them winning first game,
unless you change your mind.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How about you guys? Any teams you're high on? I know we're.
I was pretty high up on Florida.
Yeah,
they lost. They had a gruesome injury today to their starting center. Had a compound fracture, which was disgusting. You could like see him bleeding on the court, so that was gross. But I feel like they're a pretty solid team. Made a good run here, and then another team I'm pretty high up on is Baylor. I really like this Baylor team for some reason. I don't know why. Because they have every time I've bet on them, it's like, oh crap, they're just not playing well. But for some reason, no, they haven't been playing well when I bet on them. But for some reason, I don't know, I like them. But I do have some bets and stuff I've already taken for regional winners and Sweet 16s. But like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, first like the individual days, we'll have bets out like that, but I do have some future bets. Do you have any, Mason or Zach, that you want to give out?
I don't have a future bet. The one team that I think is very dangerous, I think could make a run, and that is getting kind of put under the radar. I mentioned them earlier, but this is a team that has not been in the spotlight very much this season that I think has the real potential to make a deep run, and that's Auburn. I am scared of this Auburn team. They kind of coasted through this SEC tournament. Won it outright, and there's a lot of chaos, but they were the ones that stuck in, and I know that I've followed that team more than anything, but this Auburn team, 27-7, has just kind of been out of the news just outside of that like top tier. They're coming in as a 4 seed. I think they could make some waves. I'm just saying. I don't know. They're the team that I'm like, I would not want to face that team right now.
Not the 4 seed I wanted in the UConn side of things, just futures wise, where I do have UConn in a lot of stuff.
Yep.
I do not have any bets. I will be posting those on Twitter and on Beat the Book. So
okay, sweet. All right. Well, I'm going to give out a few to make sure you get in before tournament starts, because then they will lock up. We're going to start with, I've got some Sweet 16 bets. Now, the way I kind of tackle futures for March Madness, I'm looking for value. I'm not going to be giving out juice bags where go bet. I don't know, like the 1 seeds to make the
All the
Sweet
one
16.
seeds.
Yeah, it's not worth it. So these are a couple teams that I feel like have some upset potential and they've got good value. And I found these all on FanDuel that they just released as we were recording on DraftKings. They were taking forever. But I went ahead and got them on FanDuel earlier today. First one is Mississippi State at plus 390. I feel like that's a team that could make a little bit of a run here.
Mm-hmm.
Drake, another one at plus 570. That kind of that 10 seed, that double digit seed making a Sweet 16 is kind of where I leaned with them.
These
Florida
are all
plus
money line?
240. No,
All money.
these are teams to make the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Florida at plus 240. Here's one: Samford plus 1120. Now you might say that's absolutely crazy, but here's the other reason why I think that's a ticket worth having. I also have McNeese State at plus 920.
Wow.
The theory there is that's a 5-12 upset, and that's a 4 or Kansas the 4 seed 4-13.
Mm-hmm.
They play each other the next round, and then I think they're both going to get the upsets right there, and then I have them playing each other for the Sweet 16.
So you cash either way.
McNeese Samford.
Yeah, I like McNeese State. They are very well coached. Will Wade is a good coach. He got fired for things everyone's doing before they were technically allowed to do it.
He's also a jackwagon. That guy is.
Yeah, he is a tool bag. He is an absolute tool bag. But you know what? He can.
He wins basketball games.
I'll root for him. I don't care. And then same thing with Samford that we talked about with Kansas. I think Kansas is just ripe for an upset. And then, so those are the ones I've got right now. I took Baylor earlier. I don't want to. It's not an official pick anymore because now it's jumped to minus 150. I got it at plus 105, so that's not an official bet. And if you want to get crazy, you can parlay Sweet 16 teams on FanDuel. They will let you do that, so you can get a little wild over there on FanDuel if you're wanting to do that.
Maybe our next guy at parlay.
Ooh, maybe. And then I've got the 4 regional winners for you right here, and I took these as individuals and I parlayed them because DraftKings let me do that, so that was fun. But we went with UConn, North Carolina, UT, and Marquette. UConn's plus 110, North Carolina's plus 235, UT is plus 330, and Marquette is plus 550.
Sounds like a winner.
Parlayed together, that made it. Sorry, I should have had myself logged in. Dun, 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 dun. That made it plus 19,562. $4 to win, 786.
What are you gonna do with that $786?
Then we make another parlay.
I like those bets, Tins.
Those are my future ones. Yeah. I will be getting into the lab as soon as we're done getting some more picks because now they have every team. They didn't have every team for Sweet 16 and Elite Eights and stuff when we started recording. So make sure you are following on Twitter and Beat the Book app. We're going to have all of our bets, everything that we're giving out will be there first. So the futures won't be. Make sure you're following my Twitter account for that because you can't put those in on Beat the Book right now. Something that I think they're working on. So, but those are my bets, my future picks for right this minute. But probably by this time tomorrow, I'll have some more tweeted out.
Love it.
We got the punishment wheel going on. We got content on top of content. So we're super excited for this week to start.
Oh, and you know what else? So I don't think you'll care. If you want to join, there's no prize or anything with it, but if you're a listener and you want to do a March Madness bracket with us, DM us on Instagram, Twitter, wherever you follow our account. We will send you the link. You can do the March Madness bracket with us, see how you do. All 3 of us, plus the guys who do our fantasy football league, do it together. I know our wives joined too. Morgan won last year. She says I need to go fact check that. I don't know if that's true. Oh my gosh, my window is open. I don't know. You probably can't hear it, but I just heard coyotes howling, so that's cool.
Wow.
I live out in the boons.
This is live.
This is dude, that's creepy. Sorry.
It's probably Bigfoot. Okay, do we feel good? So we got our that's a round one recap. We are really going to try and get you another update after round one to preview some round two matchups. That's the goal. So sometime before Saturday, hopefully, we will see what that looks like. Even if it's just a short episode to try and check back in and see how we're feeling and see where our bets are, maybe in check-in. So we're trying to give you some content this March Madness season to all of those who celebrate. It's a fun time to be a basketball fan. Crazy stuff. So thank you for tuning in. We will see you again on Friday. See ya.